Hello and welcome to round 8 of the San Francisco region SCCA Championships. We're again at Laguna Seca in a large starting grid. There's 41 cars lined up to take the green flag. I'm starting in 9th place on the grid, which is first in class and 2.7 seconds faster than second place, who's back in 9th. We are rolling up the start-finish straight, waiting for the green flag. And it's go. I get a good start and make up one position. There are lots of cars around me, so I'm staying to the inside to try and prevent anybody from behind overtaking. The advantage of being on the right-hand side of the track is that you do get a bit more space to overtake, and you can see the yellow car makes the most of that and is able to get a few places, 3 in total. One of the reasons why the grid is so large today is that we're joined by the Formula Car Challenge. This is an alternative race series that sometimes runs with the SCCA and is built up of 3 classes of car, one of which being the Formula Pro Mazdas. The strength of my qualifying from the previous day means that I'm actually in front of about half of their field. You can see I take a tight line back there in turn 5 to prevent people overtaking me. The downside of that being that I do lose a bit of space from the people in front of me. So at the moment I'm trying to feel for the heat in the tyres and the heat in the brakes, and also work out where the balance of the car is. Today's a really hot day. It's about 90 degrees Fahrenheit or 32 degrees centigrade, and this actually reduces the grip levels on the circuit. The tyres are having to work overtime, they're overheating basically. So I mess a bit of a gear change up there. I go into turn 11 in 3rd and I have to pop down into 2nd midway through the corner. It didn't hurt too much time wise, but with the faster cars coming up behind me, it leaves me as a bit of a standing duck on the straight. You see 2 of the faster prototype cars go by me on the inside. Still, this isn't an overtake for a car in my class. I'm not too worried about this. If those guys are faster than me, I'm happy for them to be gone by me, because if they're behind me they could run into the back of me and wreck my day. So the day before I put in a really good qualifying time. It was about 0.3 of a second off the overall lap record for my class. And whilst everyone else was struggling for space on the track, I was able to set this stonker of a lap. Today I'm running about 1.5 seconds slower pace because of the added heat, and also I've got full fuel at the moment. So what you can see now is these faster cars with the extra 100 horsepower and the bigger wings, grippier tyres, are slowly making their way by me now. Where I make up time on this circuit is always through the corners, never on the straights. Just an illustration of how much power they have just going down the straight. Behind me is another prototype car. It's in my slipstream at the moment. I'm going to the inside to try and protect my line, but he's got too much pace and he's able to go around the outside. Still give it a go up the inside, see if I can outbrake him, but I decided to get out of it at this point. It's not worth me losing my front wing with this battle. This battle means nothing to me in my championship of what I want to do. Even though I'm racing the guy, I take far fewer risks with him than I would somebody else in my class. You can see how hard I'm pushing it around this bend, really using all the racetrack to try and stay on the same pace as him. Do believe I am faster than this fella, so I'm going to do my best to catch back up to him and see if I can overtake him. Going towards the end of the lap, I have a little look into turn 11, not quite close enough to go for the overtaking manoeuvre, but still I get right on his tail and do my best to get a good slipstream up the start-finish straight. So I'm staying on his tail and I get a real good turn 6 there, and that means I carry tons of speed up the hill, and his power advantage isn't so significant. I hook up a good corkscrew. He's going a bit erratically slow in there, I guess. I get on his tail and I'm able to go up the inside, going down the hill here. So I actually achieve managed to get that place back. Next up to overtake me is another Formula Pro Mazda. Comes in hot on the inside, trying to stay on his tail as much as I can. These cars are running in the Mazda Road to Indy series, which is a pro series running nationwide, so I'm not feeling too bad by being overtaken by him. And again, trying to learn what lines he's taking, seeing where he's gaining pace, where I'm gaining pace. So it's all good experience for me. So you can see here he gets a bit of space in front of me, but the pressure gets a bit much for him when he runs wide in turn 6, so I get that place back. Net win for me. Okay, here is the back markers. I'm coming through to lap. It's a world speed 2.0. This thing's equivalent speed to my car. It's got a bit more power, a bit less cornering power, so nets in the lap times. I'm able to, he helps me up a bit in the corkscrew, I'm able to get around the inside of him down here as well as this other guy pretty quickly. I lost probably 1 or 2 seconds there, not too good. Again, another Formula Pro Mazda running by me, running in that series. He's one of the slower drivers, so I'm able to stay on his tail for a fair bit longer. You can just see there how he's able to put his power on a bit more easily. In the corners I'm able to keep up, and then he pulls away a bit more. Coming up to more back markers here. So this is the point in the race where you are lapping people, and you have to try and cut through the traffic as quickly as possible without losing time. Although it's a skill that's necessary for running club races when it comes to the national runoffs at the end of the year, I'll be running in a race group that's only cars in my class running there, so I shouldn't have to deal so much with much slower vehicles. There may be 1 or 2 slower drivers there, but for the most part, this racecraft and positioning yourself with faster and slower cars, I will not have to worry about. All I have to worry about is going fast and racing people with equal equipment. Right now, the majority of these cars running around, as they go very sideways in the exit of that turn, at different paces. You will not see in this video today the other car in my class. I am half a lap ahead of him, so if I'm facing forward, you will never see that car. So it can always get a bit awkward when there's 2 slower cars to get by, because he needs to get by the really slow car, I need to get by both of them. You have to be a bit patient there. Racers are only lost being aggressive, but not won in this case, so I'm happy just to hold back a bit and play it a bit safe. So what you'll see here is a properly driven prototype car, and you can get appreciation of, if it's driven properly, how much faster than my vehicle it is. Going up the hill there, he just carries so much more speed, and again turn 6 barely lifts off, carries all that speed through there. And his lighter weight and his extra downforce just pulls him to the top of the hill, so by the time he gets to the corkscrew, he's almost out of my sights. The car's being a bit loose towards the end of the race. There's a bit of correction there in the steering around turn 2, but it's okay. I'm reeling in another back marker, another prototype. Takes a couple of turns to get close to him and overtake him. He has got he's running on a pace that's closer to mine, and at that point of him having the power, it makes it a bit more awkward to overtake. So there where he makes a slow exit, I'm able to capitalise on that. I get the inside, and then he starts pulling away again, but I just outbrake him and nip up 6. 6 not normally an overtaking place. If I was running flat out with another guy, I probably wouldn't be putting moves there. So these other cars I'm overtaking now are Formula Mazdas. So these cars are essentially 20 years older, but similar specs to what I've got. I've got similar power, but less cornering ability. So when there are a gaggle of cars, say 4 of them around, you really can lose a lot of time getting by them. So one of the cars that overtook me earlier on in the shot managed to get a few seconds ahead of me, but because he got held up behind all these vehicles, dicing, racing themselves, he gets held up in their racing, and I'm able to catch up with the back of him. Going to see the cars getting looser and looser towards the end of the race as the tyres are struggling with the heat and the surface of the rubber gets real slick and slippery. Here and there you do have the odd hazards on the circuit, like that spun yellow vehicle. You just got to watch for the flags and look forward, and you can get by them pretty easily. You can see there's also dirt being pulled onto the circuit as people are being aggressive in their overtakes and pulling sand onto the racing line. That can make it slippery. You do have to adjust to make sure you don't fall foul of that. So what's happening here is I've suddenly lost power. As it turns out, the race on the Sunday is 5 minutes longer than on the Saturday, and we've been pretty good with our fuel calculations, so we only put enough fuel in for a 25-minute race, and this one was a 30-minute one. So by now I figure out that I'm suffering from fuel starvation, so the high G, the cornering stops there, makes the fuel slosh around in the fuel tank and stops it from being picked up and put into the engine. What I'm doing here to try and alleviate the symptoms is short shift essentially, so running it in 5th gear for as much of the track as possible. This obviously loses time, so I'm focusing on keeping my apex speeds real high so that I'm not being caught up upon. I only lose about 4 seconds and I'm basically tickling the throttle. So it's definitely a momentum car this year. You kind of appreciate having barely any power here. I'm probably doing 80 miles an hour. I'm pulling to the left so I'm not getting in the way of people, but I am able to take the win and bring it home. So it was a bit of a lucky one that. I was very fortunate to realise what was going on and to lift off on the throttle. You can be, at that point the engine runs real lean and you can do damage to the engine. So I was able to drive around that for the last couple of laps and still come away with the win. This was one of the harder races that I've done. It was because it was so hot outside. It was pretty physically demanding. There were no yellow flags or anything like that, so it was flat out for 30 minutes. I'm pretty well conditioned to the heat now. I don't struggle with concentration like I first did when I was running cars in the temperature in California. But what you will see is my hot, sweaty, tired looking face, just showing you how tough it actually was. Over and out.